What's up, guys? Welcome back to Moneyline Media. As we continue to get ourselves into the MMA scene, we are joined tonight by UFC fighter Jason Witt. He is a 26-fight veteran all over different promotions. He is fighting February 5th against Philip Rowe. Cannot wait to talk to him about that, and that's coming up real soon. Hey, what's going on, man?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. I'm just chilling. How you doing?
Good, good. Thanks for coming on.
Of course, man. Not a problem. Thanks for having me.
So I want to start from the start of your career. You started your MMA journey in 2009. How did you get started with MMA? What drew you to it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've always been like a competitive person. Like I always love competing. And I hated like team sports. I'm not a like I'll play football, I'll play soccer. I love playing sports, but I'm just not a fan of watching team sports. It'll happen kind of just like in a month span of each other. Like I found people who were doing strength conditioning in my neighborhood. They sent me to a gym that did martial arts. And then my uncle used to be a professional boxer and a kickboxer. And I kind of just started training with all of them all at once. And then after that, I took a fight, I think 6 to 8 weeks after I started training, which is a terrible idea. Don't ever do that. But I was 21 years old. I thought I could. Ended up losing that fight and just kept training, and just turned into kind of what it is today.
That's awesome. So did you grow up like wrestling? Because your wrestling is so good. Like, I feel like you could take a guy down in any way. Did you grow up wrestling?
No, man. I grew up playing football and skateboarding. Like all through high school, I was a skateboarder. Like I still love skateboarding this day. I will watch skate videos all day long. But no, I never wrestled, never did any of that stuff. And I just started off with mixed martial arts, and then I was blessed being very athletic. So wrestling kind of came natural to me. Shooting a double leg was pretty natural to me. One of the times I was training, a wrestling coach came into our gym, and I think he fired me. Fireman carried through me like a good 5 times. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And so I started going to that high school wrestling team and started wrestling with them. And that's kind of where my wrestling really started getting better, just kind of understanding the sport of wrestling and then just mixing that into mixed martial arts.
Wow. So when did you start with Glory MMA, which is obviously becoming quite a almost powerhouse as a training camp and gym? When did you get started with them?
Yeah, that was probably, I want to say 6, 7 years ago, probably 7 years ago,
Wow.
or at least 7 years ago. Yeah, I just started, I was never, so I went to a place called Carney. It's called Submission Inc. Started training there and realized that I wasn't getting what I needed. So I started going to HD MMA, which is Jason High, who's one of my current coaches now in Elsie Davis's gym. Started training there, and just everything kind of took off. I was more serious. I had my pro debut, and I just realized that I didn't have the training partners that I wanted there too. So I started going to Glory. I knew James, and I knew all those guys, for a while now. I had trained at Grindhouse a long time ago, but yeah, I started going to Glory and really instantly fell in love with what we were doing. It was more of a learning and grind than it was just like constant sparring or constant conditioning or constant, something like that. I really got kind of an organized system when I started going there.
Great. So you bring up James Krause, obviously has come about as he was still is a great MMA fighter, but has now shown his strengths as a coach. And I mean, every single one of the times I'm watching him and he's in the corner, he's the guy you hear the most. What is it like having a guy like that in your corner while you're fighting?
It's like a cheat code. It's like really playing a video game. It's just like having cheat codes. It's like he's in there telling us to do, but he's organized our entire system too. So like when he's in there, you understand what he's saying. You hear him, just the Apex. You hear what he's saying.
Yeah.
How that guy did not get nominated for Coach of the Year is absolutely ridiculous to me. That dude has lost more time at home, spends no time at home. He's in the gym all the time, or he's out training. Like that dude spent like at least 4 months out of the year in Vegas, just like with fighters. The dude's awesome, man. To have his corner, he knows his fighters. He knows like what to say to me because of how I understand things, how I learn. He understands how to say things like Gina or Grant Dawson or something like that. So really good kind of like cheat code in the game.
Yeah, I feel like every card, not even just the pay-per-views or the fight nights, there's always one of one guy that James Krause is cornering
Yeah.
on those. So I can only imagine how much time that takes. So you, before you got into the UFC, you were really big on the regional scene, obviously in Kansas City. And what are you, 22 fights in your pro career in when you got that call? It's a lot of fights to be in, and then getting that call. What was that call like for you?
Honestly, the most stressful, happy call I've ever ever gotten. Dude, it really was, man. I own a personal training studio in Kansas City. And then so I personal trained too. And I was with a client at the time. I had 6 clients after that day. I worked from like 1 to like 9 o'clock that night. I was supposed got the phone call like 1:15. There's like, dude, drop everything. You got to be at the airport by 3. I live like 45 minutes away from the airport. So I mean, getting that phone call, they're like, drop everything. I'm sitting there eating Chipotle stuff in my face. Just trained that. I drove home, got a suitcase, drove straight to the airport, made it there by like 2:10.
Wow.
And it was an absolutely crazy drive. It was pretty intense. It was kind of just super fulfilling, but also very stressful the way it kind of came together.
I could only imagine. What was that weight cut like then for you? Did you have to cut much of the weight for that first fight? Obviously, rushing there.
Yeah, I don't walk around. I'm not a huge 70 pounder. I'm a muscular 70 pounder. I was actually walking around like 182, 183.
Oh, thank God for that.
Yeah, it really wasn't. Well, I knew I was gonna take a short notice fight. I knew eventually that I was gonna get the call, and I just had to be ready. And I was still training, so I knew that. I think I cut 13 pounds in 12 hours. Like once I got the call, I had to make weight by 11 o'clock the next morning. So yeah, it was pretty intense.
That's awesome. So your first fight obviously didn't go kind of your way, but
Yeah.
then you come back and you have a great fight, and then you go again in another rough fight. What did that 3-fight span do for you? Obviously, it was really up and down those 3 fights, and then we'll talk about the great fight that you had versus Brian Barberino at another time. But for those first 3 fights, obviously the 2 losses were tough. What did that teach you, though, especially being kind of new in the UFC?
Yeah, it taught me. It taught me that I belong there. Like regardless of the outcome of what happened in the fight. Like I'm not focused on the outcome. I'm focused. I want to win. Don't get me wrong. I super want to win, but I'm also focused on how am I getting better, what I can do better. And really what I found through the 2 losses was really a lot of that was the weight cut.
Right.
You know what I mean? It wasn't a huge weight cut. The first time it was still, I didn't get a chance to rehydrate that I needed to. The Semmelsberger fight, my body was not feeling great. Like I went to the institute and had test runs. So like I figured out what I'm doing. I train hard, but like I just needed to take better care outside the gym in terms of sleep, in terms of recovery. Like I was running a personal training class. I'd wake up at 4 o'clock every morning, run a class from 5 to 6, 7, 8, and then I go to training, then I go back to work, and then I go to training. Like that was most every day. And I just wasn't getting enough sleep. I wasn't getting enough rest. And just, it showed me what I need to do to be outside of to do better outside the gym, really.
You bring up the Performance Institute, and I know you talked about in other interviews how that really helped your career. How great is that Performance Institute? And I'm assuming you think all fighters should be taking advantage of that.
Oh, absolutely. It's like Candyland for adults. It's like Candyland for MMA fighters. Like it has whatever you need it for free. Like I don't know what else a fighter could want. You got free massages, free food. Well, now with COVID and all that shit, but still, like that's the best place you can go to. And it's not, you're not going to get the best training there because that's not how the system works. Like it's just there for fight week and stuff like that. Some people do train there, but I know people who train there and like they going back to Glory and like this place is just better. But it's awesome, man. It's really state of the art. It's cool to have. I've went there a couple times before I was in the UFC. So to be in the UFC and walk in by myself with no assistance, it's pretty neat to have.
That's awesome. That's great. And I think I also heard in the interview that they said that you were like one of the most stressed out fighters that they've ever seen, right? And that's crazy because this is obviously a super stressful sport, just not knowing when the next fight is, not knowing if you're going to get injured. So that has to be a pretty high standard of stress that you were under.
Yeah, it really was, and I was used to it, so it's like I didn't think it affected me as much as I thought it did. Right. But obviously getting sleep, like seeing the Semmelsberger fight or seeing the Cole Williams fight, you see the difference of how I perform in those, and that's just a factor of how stressed my body is or how things work. And it was just not getting enough sleep each night, like just pushing my body in the ground over and over and over again. So
So you go into that Brian Barberena fight with, I imagine, a little bit of stress on you, but he's obviously has dynamite for hands. He's no matter who he goes against, it's a performance. How excited were you for that fight and going into it? How did you kind of prepare, especially for someone who does have that one punch knockout power?
Yeah, honestly, man, I was nervous. Charles came to me and he's like, "Hey, look, man, we got to fight for you. We have to take this fight. Like, I think it's a good fight for you. Stylistically, I think you can win, but we have to take the fight. If we don't take this fight, they could possibly cut you." And you know what I mean? Like, so they're like, "Hey, it's Brian Barberena." I was like, "Fuck, that's a tough." like,
Yeah.
look, I realize the do or die situation for him, but fuck, man, can you guys give me somebody easier? That's a hard fight, regardless who it is. Brian Barberena. But yeah, I mean, it was stressful, but I know a lot of what Kraus teaches is really like he'll show me something, but he's like, "Hey, I just want you to kind of free flow," because he knows I'll overthink it. So really, I just our game plan is kind of just let me do what I do, because if I have less to think, a lot better. And in that fight, you can kind of see where like you can see my timing is really good when I set up shots or my bad.
No.
When I set up shots or you know strikes like that, it's just so really it's just it was just a kind of a crazy experience knowing that I had to fight a guy who's like Brian Barberena, man.
And then the first 2 rounds you kind of dominate, but again,
Yeah.
he's the type of fighter that you can't be like, "Oh, I got this in the bag now," because he does have that one punch power. And I'm sure in the third round there were a couple times where he's hitting you with some haymakers, but you hit him back with haymakers. In that third round, what was your thought? I know you also said in a couple of interviews that James Krause was like, just play it kind of safe. Don't try to do anything too crazy, because it is a guy who has that one knockout power and could one punch knockout power and could absolutely, come back.
Yeah, for sure. James Krause like, "I don't care what you do, just don't get knocked out." I'm like, tell me that's not how this works.
Right.
But it helped. Man, I thought every single round was going to be like round 3. That's how I saw the fight going. That's how I prepared for that fight. Like, I thought it was going to be 3 rounds of fucking Brian Barberena in your face, just trying to beat the shit out of you the whole fight. And I underestimated myself in that. I think, you know what I mean? I have great takedowns. I have great timed takedowns. You can see that in the first 1 to 2 rounds where I catch him just coming forward, and it was just perfectly timed. Man, yeah, that round 3, dude, it gives me kind of a little PTSD. Like, hard, and he just doesn't go away.
But you made it through it, and then you win. After that fight, you guys obviously embraced what a fight it was. Absolutely incredible. Did you know right after the fight, you're like, "Oh, we're fight of the night. It doesn't even matter who's next. We are fight of the night."
I did, man. Like, but at the same time, I called, like, I had multiple interviews with, like, this has fight of the night potential written all over it. Like, the way I throw, the way I wrestle, the way he throws, the way he's pressured. Like, I said it had fight of the night written all over it. So at that time, I wasn't thinking about that. I was actually, when we were embracing, I was like, "Hey, hello, fight." And I had this thing about me where, like, if I get nervous, like, I'll say something stupid. And I'm pretty sure I was like, "Hey, man." He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Go fuck yourself." I wasn't trying to be a dick or trying to be mean. So if Brian Barberena sees this, like, I wasn't trying to be a dick. I was just nervous, and I was like, it was more like, "Man, you hit me quite, like, go fuck yourself for hitting me so hard so many times." But yeah, we got to embrace, and it was cool to share the octagon with that dude.
Yeah, that was awesome fight. And now coming up, I mean, you're a month out from your fight with Phil Rowe.
Yep.
Got his name right? Yeah. So I actually interviewed his last opponent. I don't know if it was his last opponent, but one of his more recent opponents, and Orion Kosi, just yesterday. Guy has great kicks. He's long. How do you prepare for someone like that?
Yeah, he's tall, he's long. He's 6'3", has an 80-inch reach, but he's the same height as me on his back.
Right.
So that is me. Yeah, he's just I got a lot of guys who are long. I got Ugly Man Joe in my gym right now, who's just got in the UFC. He's a great fucking boxer, great counter boxer. I've been working with him a lot, just putting a lot of work in with him. And it's kind of prepared me a little more for this. And I think that for me, like, I have to get on the inside. I have to put pressure on him. I have to take him down. That's what I'm going to do. It's his job to stop that. It's not, you know what I mean? Like he has striking. He can beat me striking. I don't see him submitting me just because he's a good grappler, but I don't think he's gonna submit me. So I think just my ground and pound will just kind of like break him down, just wear him down. Like, he'll quit. Honestly, I think he'll quit.
So obviously a month out from this fight, what does training look like for you? Like, how hard are you going right now? What's the diet looking like? Obviously, you're getting into that really close to the fight. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, it's just tightening up, tighten little stuff up, tighten my diet up a little bit. I don't eat super unhealthy as it is, but just eating little things that'll help me out through training camp a little more, getting a little more rest, and then just being in Glory the way we have our schedules right anyways is enough. It's enough work as it is. I mean, I train Monday morning, Monday night, Tuesday morning, lift Tuesday night, Wednesday. I mean, it's just so we have a whole schedule that James Krause puts us on, and it's enough work as it is.
Gotcha. So I know a lot of camps have now done like the no sparring. Does Glory spar? Glory spars, right?
Yeah, we're still sparring. When we have days that are hard sparring, days that aren't hard sparring, we have a lot more rolling around, stuff like that. So we have a good mixture of sparring, grappling, wrestling, everything.
I was gonna say because you're one of those guys that you do everything good. So like you're one of those new, like they call it the new age MMA fighters. You know,
Yeah.
instead of just being good, focusing on one thing, it seems like you're really good at everything. And that seems James seems like the same way, and a lot of those Glory guys seem like the same way. Is that just how you guys train?
That's James Krause, man. He's set aside, and he also listens to people. He learns from new rookies, he learns from amateurs, he learns from pros, he learns from everybody. He watches fights. He's organized an entire system. He even has a system out for sale that you can buy. Like the dude's organized our entire system, and we've spent years just working on this entire system. You know what I mean? And now we're starting to add more stuff into it, but it's like it's our game is we all look similar because we train the exact same thing all the time over and over again.
Awesome. Yeah, he seems like he's doing a great job with you guys, and he's obviously a great fighter himself. And now I have to ask you about your nickname, the Vanilla Gorilla. How did that come up? Where did that come from?
Man, there was a time. It was my last amateur fight. I was 100. Dropped down to 155 pounds, so I was lean. My body was not working well. I wasn't eating enough. I really just didn't do a good job with the cut. And after that, like my body blew back up. Like a month later, I think I made 155, and a month later I was 198. So I was beefy. I still had a six pack and stuff, but I was still just, I was and my coach, like I'm very athletic, and my coach, Jason High, who's still my coach today, was like, man, you look like a vanilla gorilla. And everybody in the class starts laughing. And like my pro debut was coming up like a month after that. And it was just kind of one of those things that stuck. Everybody starts laughing. It just works well.
It's a great nickname. It's hysterical. All right, so we do this with all of the athletes that we interview. It's called rapid fire. Again, it's not properly named. You don't have to say it super quick. These are just random questions. Some might have to do with fighting. Some are, other type of questions. So I'm going to start with, who is your Mount Rushmore of MMA fighters? So the best MMA fighters.
George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva. I got to put Conor McGregor on there for the way he changed the sport.
Yes, I agree.
And I feel like you should put Dana White on there too, because he's done a lot for the sport. I don't think a lot of people put that on there, but I think he's one of those people that should be on there.
See, I didn't even think about that when I was thinking about mine, but that makes so much sense.
I haven't either until I just thought about it just now. But I mean, like you'd have to have. There's so many people like Horace Gracie, like you have to have him on there too. Like it's just rough.
Do you go Tito Ortiz, who was like the first big pay-per-view draw? Do you go Chuck Liddell, who was the first mainstream? And there's so many people that you could put on there too.
I think Dana White should be on there. I think he should be. I mean, he's on the.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then you could also go. I mean, this is a total wild card, but Big John McCarthy kind of came up with the rules to make UFC like a legitimate sport too. All right, who is your favorite fighter of all time?
George St. Pierre.
George St. Pierre. Okay, all right.
I just feel like he focused on being, like you said earlier, I'm good at everything. Right. I'm not good at everything, and that's kind of how he was. He was way better now than I was. He was good, but yeah, he focused on being well-rounded. He was good at jiu-jitsu, he was good at wrestling, good striking. He's very athletic and didn't wrestle in college, nothing like that. And we kind of just both did the same thing. So I always kind of idolized him.
He was also one of the first fighters that I think brought like, oh, they're athletes. It's not like a freak show type of thing, MMA. You know what I mean? So he definitely had that going for him.
Okay.
Yeah. What is your pump up song?
What's my pump up?
Yeah.
My walkout song lately has been 50 Cent, Hustler's Ambition.
Okay.
So there was a time when I was waking up at 4 a.m., like I said earlier. One day I just was not feeling it. I was like, I do not want to do this. I do not want to be up. I don't want to go to work. And Hustler's Ambition came on, and I just turned it up, and I was just like, all right, it's gonna be a good day. Like it's one of those just like it just changed your entire mood for the entire day. So
Right.
it just worked.
I like that. That's a good 50 Cent is always like great to get yourself pumped up. And any of like, so you basically, is rap music the one that gets you most like pumped up too?
I was just thinking that in my head. I was like, man, I could also dig some Kickstart My Heart with Motley Crue. My wife and I, when we got reintroduced into our reception at our wedding, that's the song we walked out to. So it was cool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm getting married next year, so I have to I'm taking notes of good songs to walk out to.
Right.
Thank you. So you got Dream Vacation, your Dream Vacation.
Dream Vacation, man. So we were supposed to go to Greece 3 times in the past 2 years. Like that's where my wife wanted to go. I heard it's fantastic. I'm cool. I'm definitely down with it. But I've never been to Hawaii. My wife has been to Hawaii like over a handful of times, but I've never been. So that's kind of been my dream vacation because I haven't been there.
Right. It would be great. That's 2 awesome answers too, because I think both beaches there are gorgeous. I feel like, if you can get another 50K in this next fight, you might be able to make both of them happen.
I might be able to. There's definitely a possibility, but you also got to be vaccinated to go to both. You also got to worry about COVID. You also got to worry about masks. And it's just at this time, unfortunately, it's not like I don't want to spend that amount of money to go be restricted of what I want to do.
Right, because it's like you're not on vacation at that point. You're so worried about everything else too. That makes sense.
I just picked up golf the past year. I fell in love with golf. Actually, I have a golf studio in my house now. So I thought to go to Hawaii and play golf or something like that. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, they apparently have like beautiful golf courses too.
That's what I've heard.
So I know you said your favorite fighter is George St. Pierre, but we'll stick with current guys. What is your dream fight that could happen right now for you?
Mike Perry.
Oh, okay. Mike Perry. That's an interesting. Why Mike Perry?
I don't know. It just seemed like it'd be a fun fight. Like he's just kind of a douche, but he's also a decent fighter. He's a shitty. Okay, he's not a good fighter. He's a shitty fighter, but he comes forward. He's just exciting.
He's like the back in the day. I imagine what fighters were, which is just like not back in the day like UFC, just like back in the day. I'm at a bar and this guy's pissing me off.
Or like before George St. Pierre came around, like Jay. Athlete that came around and he was like the I just showed up and I've been drinking for 4 days straight and I just showed up and won the fight.
Right. That's so true. All right. And last question for you. I know this is tough because I know you're getting ready for your fight, but what is your favorite cheat meal?
Minsky's Pizza.
Okay. Located in Kansas City or?
They're I don't know if they're exclusive just in Kansas City, but they're a little bit everywhere. But yeah, it's the best pizza. Now, outside of like Chicago deep dish pizza or New York like massive pizza, I live in Kansas City. We used to live next to Minsky's. We go walk there after a fight, and it's kind of one of those memories that just sticks with you.
That's awesome. Is that why you want? I know you wanted to fight on the MSG card. Is that why you wanted to fight on the MSG card? Was for the pizza?
No, definitely. I'm definitely in on that.
That's great. Thank you so much for coming on, Jason. We cannot wait to see you fight. You're actually fighting on my birthday, so I will definitely be watching.
Let's go. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Give me a happy birthday with a win. That'd be great.
I'll do what I can.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man.
Hey, thank you. Have a good night, bud.
You too.
Yeah.
Jason Witt, what a great guy. I cannot wait to see him fight. February 5th, make sure you check it out. I think it's on ESPN and ESPN Plus. He's fighting Philip Rowe. It's a great fight. Philip Rowe just went against our guy, Orion Kosi. So check it out. Also check out the new interviews. We have interviewed 3 MMA guys today. I mean, not today. 3 MMA guys over the past week. We're really getting into it. Next week, we will have our picks for the fight night. Giga Shikatsa. I can't say his name. Giga versus Calvin Cater, and I cannot wait to see that fight. It's going to be great. So check us out. All right, guys, and that is it for tonight.